Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Dickenns and I'm a doctor and a tech enthusiast. Not too long ago, I made a video about how to become a doctor in Kenya and how much a doctor is paid. And that was the good. You guys liked that video. Today, we're going to talk about the bad and the ugly. You know, the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth. Let's get started. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys some 3 reasons why you should not consider being a doctor in Kenya if you somehow had that in mind. Generally speaking, to be a doctor in Kenya is actually a nice thing. I personally love being a doctor over here, and I'm currently training to do my dream specialty, orthopedic surgery. But the truth is, there's got to be some downsides to any great thing. There's got to be some reasons to consider not going for this if you had a choice. There's many things we struggle with, there's many things we suffer from, and in this video I'm going to give you at least 3 that are more or less widespread that will probably affect any doctor at some point in their career. So here are my top 3 issues about being a doctor in Kenya, at least compared to other careers out there. The first one is the time and the money investment that will be expected of you if you're going to be a doctor. You guys know that after we are done with the KCSE, for some of us during our time, we had to, lazy around for at least 2 years doing menial jobs here and there. Some were teachers, others were this and that. Then after that, we got into campus. Some of us who are a little bit lucky got into the University of Nairobi Medical School. Medicine was offered over there for 5 years. And yeah, that was a little bit shorter compared to other universities, even in other countries in Africa and also worldwide. But right now in Kenya, to get an undergraduate medical degree and become what is called a medical officer, it will have to take you at least 6 years, nothing less. And it could actually be more than that. In med school, there's repeating. If you do not pass a certain year, you might actually be told to retake that year. So it's not uncommon to get guys who've done like 8 years in med school. So it happens. And worst still is in the past few years, there have been people who've done more than 6 years, like 7, 8, just because, the pandemic or lecturers strike. Right now in Moi University, for example, I know students who've done like 8 years and they're still waiting to graduate. So yeah, it takes a lot of time to actually get your first degree to make you, a doctor. After that, you also need to do an internship period of at least 1 year. So yeah, that is 6 plus 1, 7. And right now, to be competitive in the medical world, one literally nearly has to be a specialist, not unless you go into all these things like business and so on. So to be a specialist, that is to get like a master's degree in something, pediatrics, orthopedics, internal medicine, and all these other things. You need at least 4 years in a university or, a fellowship in like the College of Surgeons of East and Central Africa. So in total, the duration of time it will take you to get to where most guys want to be as doctors is at least 11 years. And mark you can't actually just get out of undergraduate and jump into postgraduate to start specializing in something. You have to be a medical officer for at least 3 years most times as an admission requirement for postgraduate studies. And so the amount of time you need to get to at least some level of comfort is at least 6 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4. That's 14 years, of study. I'm a bit lucky. In my case, I went to a university that took me 5 years instead of 6 for undergraduate and 4 years instead of 5 for postgraduate. So yeah, I've saved at least some 2 years, but it takes long. That's the take-home message. You can be sure that your peers who went into, accounts, engineering, and all these other things, yes, in as much as everyone has their own timeline, some people might get jobs at different times than others, but on a general scale, those other guys might get into their careers and probably proceed much faster than you who gets into medicine. Now, that is just about time. The other issue is money. It also takes a lot of money to be a doctor. If you get into a government-sponsored undergraduate program like what I did, you might be a bit lucky. The fee is quite little. But if you're going to have to get into a self-sponsored program like in the University of Nairobi, the fee is close to 500,000 shillings per year for 6 years. So yeah, you need at least some 3 million shillings, and that's quite a bit. And for postgraduate studies, they even recently drove up the fee quite a bit. It's now close to 600,000 shillings per year. That's also no joke. So yeah, it's quite an investment of money. and time. It might be fair, right? It might be cheaper compared to other places in the world, like the US, for example, but still, that's no joke for some of us common people out here. Take note. Number 2, the second thing you need to know is employment and the working conditions around here for doctors. Once more, I'm a bit lucky. During my time towards the end of your undergraduate studies, you'd select a center that you'd want to go for internship anywhere in the country, and chances are you'd be basically employed over there or posted somewhere else. It was nearly guaranteed that you'd be employed, you'd get a job, you'd be absorbed into the system once you're done with your internship as a medical officer. So generally, it was kind of a smooth transition from being an intern to being a medical officer, not unless you're like posted to a station where you didn't want to go and so on. But yeah, employment was guaranteed. But right now, things have changed, tables have turned. You actually don't get that direct employment in most cases right now. You have to apply. It's competitive. There's issues like tribalism. There's issues like lack of funds in several counties, making them unable to employ new doctors. So yeah, there's actually many junior doctors right now out there with no stable employment or even no employment at all. After the 7 or so years they've put into study, they have to like get strange jobs here and there or do some hourly shifts that pay quite a little money. So getting employed is no longer guaranteed. And even if you get employed, what will your working conditions be like? That's another issue. You'll notice that nearly everywhere in Kenya, not unless maybe a few nice private hospitals, you'll actually struggle with the kind of workplace and the kind of working hours you have to put in. Because most times you'll be less than ideal in terms of numbers. And by doing a hospital call, most times it literally means working 24 hours in a day. So on average, assuming you do like 2 or 3 calls in a week, that's already 48 hours. Add that to the normal 8 hours you need to do per day. You might end up doing upwards of 80 hours in a week, and that's quite a lot. It takes a toll on doctors in terms of their mental health, their physical health, It's actually quite a rigorous job, especially when you're still like lower on the food chain of the doctor's hierarchy, like an intern or a medical officer. So combine that with not having adequate equipment, for example, not having protective gear, especially in this pandemic era. It can get both rigorous and risky. I know friends who've gotten some infections from their workplaces. It happens. It's not just something that is talked about out there. It actually happens. I know people who have developed even mental issues and so on just because of the stresses they have to undergo in their workplaces as doctors. So it's something you need to take note of. It's something you need to know. It's something you need to keep at the back of your mind. And strange enough, despite the risks involved, there's actually employers who don't even provide health insurance to doctors. And that's why every now and then you'll find doctors in the streets striking. It's a sorry, sad state of affairs, but you need to know this if you're gonna be a doctor. So the third issue that you need to take into account is the pay. To be fair, doctors are paid quite well compared to other professionals in the market in Kenya. But to also say the truth, the pay is rarely commensurate to the kind of work we do, the amount of time we put in, and compared to other places in the world, even countries with similar economies. And what still is nowadays, with all the unemployment of doctors, a lot of employers have actually taken opportunity to, cut down on pay and offer peanuts to junior doctors just because they are desperate. So it happens. And so yeah, in as much as a doctor there's potential to make money from 1 or 2 ventures here and there, the truth is the amount of money most employers pay, especially for junior doctors, is not that much like most people imagine. And if you'd like to know the details of the pay for doctors, there is a video I made. If you've not watched it already, I'll link it somewhere over here. You can click and go and watch it. So guys, as you can see, there's actually issues about being a doctor in Kenya. Just to make everything clear, I don't mean to discourage anyone who'd want to get into medicine. This is just for information purposes. I believe that it's good that you know everything, both the pros and the cons, the full experience. And if you guys want them, I'll make even more informative video about being a doctor, in as much as I make productivity and digital life videos. So if that's your kind of thing and you're not already subscribed, feel very welcome to the family. Down here there's a red button called subscribe. Just click on it. It's free to subscribe, there are no charges. So while you're there, also click the notification bell so that when I upload a new video, you are the first to be notified. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next one. No pressure.